Hello and good evening to everyone. My name is Phil. I'm one of the business relations person of ChicagoDealVault. So I just received a message from Hugo. He might not be able to attend. So let me start the meeting tonight. We are glad to have our guest speaker, Ms. Uh, Shubhan Cerny of Secure Pay One. So Secure Pay One has been one of our partners for all of our rental properties. And Shubhan has been with the company for the past 6 years. They help landlords who are looking for a customized property management solution to help them grow their real estate portfolios. They not only help you plan the most effective, efficient, and profitable to productive management and growth, but they also have dynamic and tech-savvy solutions. So everyone, Shubhan, you.
Hi, thank you, Phil, for the introduction. I do want to mention that you were cutting out a little bit, and I just want to make sure everyone can hear me. I want to make sure I'm not cutting out. So if I am cutting out, please let me know. So, okay, thank you so much. So as Phil said, I am Siobhan. I work with Secure Pay One. We are a customized property management solution, so we are not a full service property management company, though I do work with a lot of full service companies, so I can definitely talk on that. My company specifically works with landlords over the US, and we do, well, I'm like echoing now. We do more technology solutions for managing your properties, so not full service, but we handle all the calls, the collections, renewals, all of the admin work that landlords don't want to deal with. That's what we do. But given the topic tonight, we'll talk about regular property management, so full service. The benefits, of course, of using a property management company is they are your tenant-facing company. So if you are using a property management company, the tenant should not know the landlord's name or information. They shouldn't be contacting you with their calls in the middle of the night or why they can't pay the rent that month. They should be contacting your property management company so they don't contact you directly. They handle your locating and placing a qualified tenant for your property. They're going to provide your lease for you, the correct lease for your county, for your state, to make sure that you legally have the right information in your lease. They handle all communications with your tenant and collect all of the rent associated with the property. Any other fees that you need to collect, utilities, anything like that. And then, of course, they work to enforce the terms of your lease. So if there's any violation with your property, if the tenant is not following the terms of that lease that you have in place, they would be the ones to identify that and handle that violation for you. So basically, when you're using a property management, all of that administrative work should be handled by the property management company and not involve the landlord. So Hugo had asked that we touch on the benefits of using a property management company. So the main benefit, and I'm sure as you guys work with Hugo, I assume that many of you are trying to grow your real estate portfolios, your rental portfolios, buy and hold. So you want to be able to work on your business instead of in your business. I'm sure you've heard that term a lot. So you want to be able to focus on getting more properties and growing, and not, taking that call from the tenant about the late rent, or handling those maintenance concerns, hearing about how much snow needs to be shoveled from their parking lot or anything like that. So you want to use your time to focus on growing your portfolio. Another thing I see with a lot of my clients is that they need when they come to me is the organization. So a lot of times if you're trying to grow your business, but you're also trying to manage your own properties, you lose that organization, and you don't always have time to enter into the software when a tenant makes a payment, or enter into the software, or record anywhere any maintenance concerns. So the property management company is going to be using a software that enters in all payments, that keeps track of late payments, that keeps track of all maintenance concerns. So as you start to grow, you have all of that information that the property management company is keeping for you, and you can go back and reference when you have maintenance concerns. Did we just replace that last year, or is there a reoccurring issue here with that, with this flooded basement, something like that. So you have all of that information in the software, and the property management company helps you keep track of that. Also, the communication is important as well. You don't want to be the one taking those late night calls or answering emails or questions about late payments. So your property management company is going to offer you 24-hour answering service. So if there's a call in the middle of the night, if there's an emergency, the property management company would handle that, and you wouldn't need to be contacted for any emergencies. So I think that's an important aspect of it, so you can not have to take those late night calls. In terms of finding your tenant and placing them, this is a big benefit of using a property management company. They have the resources to make sure that the tenant that they're placing in your property is screened properly, has a thorough background check. So this helps with not only securing a tenant that's going to pay on time every month, but also retaining a tenant for a longer period of time. So when they have that secure background check, and that a tenant that's high quality, they tend to be a long-term tenant. So that's and of course cause fewer issues with anything else, basically their neighbors, things like that. Also, there is the legal side, of course, to being a landlord. So when you have a property management company, you're more protected in that sense, because you have a lease that is legally the correct lease for your city, county, state, and it has the correct language in there. If you do end up in court, you know that you have used the proper documentation. If you had a 5-day notice served, or a notice of non-payment, a pay or quit notice, whatever it is that county uses, you know that your tenant was served the correct document, because your property management company provided that. And of course, I think we touched on this a little bit, but more efficient rent collection. So one of the things that we do for our clients that a lot of clients ask for is constant rent reminders. So the property management company is going to send out an email and a text a few days before the rent is due, and then a reminder the day the rent is due, and then a couple of days after, if it's not paid yet, they're getting another reminder saying your rent hasn't been paid yet. So it's more of the property management company has more time than you would yourself as an investor to be constantly following up to make sure the rent's paid on time, or if it's late, to let the tenant know that they're going to have a late fee applied, and actually going in and implementing that late fee has been applied and that the tenant pays it. So it's just the ability to stay more on top of payments coming in, late fees applying, things like that. And then, of course, there are personal benefits, giving you more freedom to grow your portfolio, have more properties, leave the state, go on vacation, things like that. If you're managing your own property, you a lot of times feel that you have to live in the same area where your investment properties are, in case of an emergency and things like that. So using a property management company allows you the ability to have properties in different states, leave the state, keep your investment properties, things like that. So I did receive a question that says, what does my company not do? So since we are a customized property management solution, more of a virtual property management, I would refer to it as. We have properties all over the US. We are not a full service solution. So we don't have boots on the ground, obviously, in every state. So what we do is take over once the tenant has already been placed. We don't do tenant placement and screenings. We don't find your tenant. We work with landlords once they've already secured a tenant, and then we take over the collection and taking all the calls, maintenance calls. We handle renewals. What we don't have, because we're a nationwide service, is our own maintenance team. So I work with investors who are just starting out, trying to grow their portfolio, or even if they do have a big portfolio, they're not interested in full service because they don't want to give up that 10%, and they don't want to let a full service property management company send whoever for maintenance and spend a lot of money on it. My clients are looking for a more cost-effective solution, so they pay the maintenance bills. I would take the call, I would send whoever they're comfortable with me sending, but it would be a vendor that they work with or that they trust, that they know, and they know how much it's going to cost. It's not just a random vendor that I choose. And then somebody also asked about evictions. So since we handle all the communication and keep the records of the rent, we keep all notes in the software. Any communication that's with the tenant is noted on their account in the property management software. We work directly with my client's lawyer. So it's not our own legal team, it's the legal team that the landlord or client has worked with before. Possibly they work together on the lease. But we would handle all the administrative work, give them the legal notice that was signed, give them the history and the notes, give them the ledger showing the payments were not made on time, and start the eviction process. But we would not be, as I said, we have clients nationwide, so we don't actually appear in court. We just handle all the back end paperwork type of things. I'm trying to think what else we don't do. We don't pay the bills. For the vendors, we get the invoice from the vendor and the landlord pays it directly. So the landlord kind of knows what they're spending on maintenance, and we're not just spending their money on the most expensive contractor. So I don't know, Phil, are you still here? We can open it up to any other questions, or I'm not sure if people are wanting to hear more about full service or property management, or about what I do specifically, which is not full service. I can talk about either of them. There's Phil not here anymore.
Okay. Hi, Giovanni. So thank you very much, Giovanni, for joining today.
Sure.
So guys, let's just quickly summarize what Giovanni mentioned. Can you guys hear me okay? Is the sound okay?
I can hear you fine.
Loud and
Yeah,
clear.
my sound is good. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so throughout the last 2-3 years, we've gone through so many property management companies, but you know what? Let's take a step back. Okay. Why do you need to use a property management company in the first place? Because as they said, this is one of the worst jobs that you can think of. Hey, Phil, can you mute everyone else, please? If there's any background noise. So the reason why is because you don't want to hear from the tenants, okay? You just want to get the property rented to the best potential tenant, and you don't ever want to hear from them, okay? One of the biggest mistakes that I realized, some investors, they want to learn about the landlord-tenant ordinance. They want to become attorneys. That's just a huge mistake, because you will never be good enough. You won't be able to manage the ledger properly for the accounting, the monies that come in and out. You won't be able to remember when to renew the leases. You won't be able to send statements. You won't be able to send reminders. I mean, there's so much. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So if there's a job that you don't want to do, guess what? It's property management. So this is what I found out through the last 2-3 years. By going through multiple property management companies, I was so unhappy with all of them. I'm going to tell you why. The reason why is because, number one, I didn't like property management companies tapping into our rental income, a percentage of it. As was mentioned earlier, they're going to charge 8 to 10% on the rental income. We tend to increase rents on a yearly basis. Why should the expense of the property management go up accordingly, right? I was not happy with that. The second aspect is that when they collect the rent, guess what? We were not getting that money right away in our bank account. They were holding on to the money until the end of the year, end of the month or mid-month. That to me didn't seem fair, okay? So with Secure Pay One, no, Gigi. With Secure Pay one of the biggest advantages is that the minute they get the rent, guess what? No, Gigi. The minute they get the rent in their bank account, it comes into your bank account like the next day. So that's huge, right? We want to have the rental income coming into our checking account as soon as it gets paid by the tenant. And then the third benefit, this is huge, right? One of the things that I realized is that property management companies, they make their money on the percentage of the rent, but guess what? They make a killing on the maintenance. They upcharge quite a lot, even for changing a light bulb. It's just insane. So what we really like is that we provide our list of handymen. Okay, they're going to be the ones doing or getting dispatched by Secure Pay One. Hold on a second. So that was one of the biggest benefits that I found, right? Being able to control our expenses. That was huge, because we could see our cash flow going up tremendously. Why? Because we give them a list, electricians, plumbers, handymen, painters, roofers, you name it. First and second option. So if they can't dispatch the first one, it goes to the second one. So it's just incredible. And they do have our credit cards. So for things that are below 250, they can pay for it. If not, we pay. Okay. And as they said, if you ever need to take it to the next level legally, they can work with your eviction attorney, which we can refer you to a couple of them. Hopefully you never ever want to use them. But in a nutshell, those are the three biggest benefits. You're going to control your expenses on the property management. You will control your maintenance expense, and you're going to get your money as soon as the tenant pays. So that's just huge. Did I miss anything, Siobhan?
No, that was really great. Thank you so much for that, Hugo.
Yeah, no, and then just working with them is just amazing, right? Either via phone, text message. I mean, that's something that you just have in autopilot, right? They manage the property, they send the welcome message, instructions, how to make payments, and everything is properly, accurately recorded in a software. So it's pretty awesome. At the end of the year, we can look at the ledgers, and then we use those for accounting purposes. So it's pretty awesome. So again, guys, that's the least or the worst of the jobs that you can possibly think of. Never, ever, ever take on property management, especially because the landlord-tenant ordinance favors tenants. So if you're not on top of it, guess what? It could backfire. You could be taken to court and pay multiple times the security deposit. So it's a big responsibility. That's something that you don't want to do. Okay, we're investors. We're not property managers. Are there any questions for Siobhan or us?
I have a question.
Yes. Go for it.
So I was looking to start a property management company, but you're saying that that's a bad idea?
That's a horrible idea.
Okay.
That's a horrible idea. You know why? I'm gonna tell you why. First of all, there are like over 100 software pieces that you can use for property management. I mean, it's just insane. The software is not the big deal, but it's understanding, learning the tenant landlord tenant ordinances, and every village is different. So yeah, no, you don't want to do that. I mean, it's you don't want to reinvent the wheel. Let me put it this way. I mean, that's one of the toughest jobs. I mean, do you want to get phone calls in the middle of the night for a leaky toilet? I don't think so. It's not worth the money. There's no money in there. You don't want to do that. That's my opinion. Siobhan,
Yeah,
what do you think?
yeah, it's a lot of work. It is a lot of, it is the, the side of the business that nobody wants to do. I mean, so if you're good at it and you like that, then, then that might be good because nobody really wants to do it.
Absolutely.
Okay. I have a question.
Go, Tim.
Okay. So what criteria do you use in coming up with the rent amount? So if I bought up an apartment to your company and I say, hey, I want the highest amount of rent in this area. So what criteria do you use to come up with the rent for that area?
So since we don't do the leasing process, my company actually doesn't set the rent amounts, though I do help clients who are looking for comps in the area. So what we typically do is just, take a look at the property, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, the appliances, things like that, and look at 3 properties in the same area with those same criteria and average out the price of those 3. So it's always up to the landlord. I never choose it, but we send comps and kind of point them in the direction of whatever is in the area in that price range. I'm sure Hugo probably knows a little more about that.
Right. And you know what, Tim? I'm so happy that SecurePay One doesn't do leasing because, the previous companies that we used, when they engage in leasing and property management, they're 2 separate things. You don't want the property management to do your leasing because either you're good at one or the other. It's impossible for them to be really good at both of them. So guess what? We rely on the best leasing agents, right, to get us our top rental dollars. And then we let the property management do their job. So you want to use experts in that area. So yeah, we always just hand out the tenants over to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so typically our clients work with a leasing agent in the area, and then the leasing agent would send us, as soon as the tenant is placed and approved and meets all the criteria, they send that information over to us, and then we set up the tenant on our end for rent collection and things like that. So it's typically that's between the client and the leasing agent. But if that is something you don't want to deal with, there of course are full service property management companies that do that for you. They do take the full first month's rent, so that's why we don't do that.
Okay. And then I have a second question for you. So here in the state of Illinois, does the state require that the property managers have a real estate license?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Sorry, I was reading something in the chat.
Okay, so here, in different states, they require different things for property managers. So does Illinois require you as the property manager to have a real estate license?
Okay, yes. The state of Illinois does require the property manager to have a real estate license. Though my company, since we are not technically the property manager, we are not listed on the lease. It's the landlord that's listed on the lease. We are just kind of we partner with the landlord to help with collections, and they outsource that to our company. So we're not technically the lessor of for our clients.
Okay, so then my next question would be, so are you required to have any type of insurance just in case anything happens?
Yes, but we do have an agreement with our clients that specifies what we are liable for and things like that with the property. Since we don't hold the license and we aren't the lessor, there are things in our agreement between us and our client that say that we're not responsible for it, for certain things.
Okay,
We're not liable for certain things. Mm-hmm.
I also have a question. So if you don't have a list of handy, like people don't work in your properties, like I self-manage some properties in Chicago, and I have a few properties in Milwaukee, and I have a property management in Milwaukee, and I'm about to break up with them because they're not doing their job. But like, for example, they charged me like $270 to change the thermostat in the property, which I thought it was ridiculous. But I don't have,
Right.
electricians and people in different areas. Do you guys have like a suggested list maybe or something like that, or no?
Yeah, so for the most part, though we do have properties nationwide, for the most part, the majority of our portfolio is in the Chicagoland area. So we have a lot of referrals in the Chicagoland area. Milwaukee, as I don't have as many properties in Wisconsin. I have some Kenosha, but I wouldn't have very many referrals in that area. What we do is help our clients by searching around. If you're looking for a plumber, we search for 3 different plumbers, ask the price on what you're looking to have done, and send you the estimates. I know that's not as good as sending you a good handyman, but if we don't have anyone we could recommend in the area, we do help with trying to find you someone.
Well, I guess I have another question.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the leasing agents, I mean, basically, like you will go to like a local realtor or something and have them find the tenant for you, like they charge the first month or something, and then you guys will take over that after that.
Mhm.
I'm assuming that's what it sounds like, correct or no?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's
Okay.
true.
And the last question, I have a property in Chicago. All my tenants only speak Spanish. Do you guys have Spanish-speaking staff?
Yes, we do.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, a lot of Spanish-speaking tenants.
Okay, I have another question for you.
Sure.
Okay, so I understand that you're a nationwide company and you deal with people all across the states, and we know that everybody has their different laws and rules. So this is going to like the uh, federal fair housing rules. So how well versed is your company within the federal fair housing rules as far as discrimination and that type of thing goes?
So we are pretty well versed in that. I mean, the Chicago specifically has the Chicago Landlord Tenant Ordinance, as Hugo was referring to, and that changes every year. So we do have to stay on top of it. In terms of the Discrimination Act, I believe it's called, that comes more into play when you're placing your tenant, and we don't do that. But it's really important that whoever is screening your tenants is taking the first qualified applicant, regardless of if they're going to be Section 8 or anything like that. You can't discriminate against anyone. If you have to choose the first applicant that's qualified for your property, but we don't do the tenant placement, so I don't deal with that as closely.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Siobhan.
Yes.
So I have a question for you. Actually, a couple questions. You mentioned Section 8. Does your company work with Section 8 and the voucher programs? And my second question is, what's your onboarding process And also, third question: what's your rates?
Okay, yeah, so we do work a lot with Section 8. I have properties on the south side, west side, Housing Authority of Cook County, we work with lots of different Section 8 offices, and we've found it is difficult, but the best way to do that is to get online on their online portal and do everything that way. But we are definitely well versed in that. The second question, I'm sorry, what was your second question?
What's your onboarding process?
Oh, onboarding. So we try to do everything electronically now, though we do, since that's how tenants want to pay their rent these days, but we do send out a welcome packet in the mail with just information on our company, who to contact, how to contact us, email, phone, text. That comes with a tenant contact information sheet for them to fill out in a postage paid envelope. Tenants do get a postage paid envelope in the mail with a paper invoice every month if that is how they choose to pay the rent. If not, we also have a welcome packet that goes out virtually by email that tells tenants how to pay the rent, who to contact for maintenance concerns, and basically how to get set up with us. So as long as the landlord, when we're starting the onboarding process, has all the proper contact information for the tenants, we get that started right away, because if they don't answer the email, we text them. So it's pretty seamless process. And then does that answer your question?
Partially. Actually, what I did was, what do you require from the landlord in order to hire?
So basically, in order to send out all that welcome information, we do need the full address, the tenant's contact information, if you have it, phone number and email, and then the lease, of course, if you have one. I have onboarded some clients that don't have all that information. And we just have an agreement between us and the client that needs to be signed before anything goes out. It is not, it's not a yearly contract. It can be canceled at any time with, I believe it's 45 days notice. So it's not, if you're not happy with the service, as long as we get proper notice, it can be canceled. And then you asked about our rate, which is we are currently at $75 per door. I believe I've spoken with Hugo about a rate for anyone from his group at $65 per door.
Thank you, Somani. That's
So it's
awesome.
a flat fee. Sorry, it's a flat fee, not a percentage. So once that contract is signed, that's your flat fee. We're not gonna take more every time the rent goes up, which is what full service property management does, because they take a percentage.
That's going to be one of the best investments that you can ever make. $65. I mean, you can't beat that for peace of mind. Absolutely. So don't think of it as an expense or a cost. It's an investment to free up your time and mind.
All right.
So go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'll go. I know I have a couple tenants that pay cash. How does that work? They drop the cash off somewhere else? I mean, I report everything, taxes and everything, just, they just pay me in cash, and, some property managements turn away from that just because they don't want to deal with money.
Right. I do have some landlords that used to collect cash. I wouldn't recommend it, just because you want the audit trail. You want to keep that accurate ledger of, that that your tenant paid on time every month. And sometimes it can be, difficult to keep that audit trail with cash. So we're pretty good at working with tenants who, we call them non-banking communities. Not everyone has a bank account. That's why we send out a postage paid envelope so that they can take that cash and go get a money order and put it right in the postage paid envelope, and it has a stamp on it, comes right to our office. But also, a lot of people have Zelle and Chase QuickPay these days, so we work with tenants on getting that set up if they don't have it. We have tenants that use a family member, so we try to accept any method of payment that someone wants to use, because of course we just want to get that money for our client, but we do not accept cash.
And
I
does the
wouldn't
tenant pay
recommend
any?
anyone.
I know, I'm trying to get away from that. Do you guys charge any fees to the clients? Because in the current property manager that I have, I found out that they charge my tenants an onboarding fee of like $100 plus a monthly fee for every time they make a payment, which I thought it was kind of strange.
Some people charge if they want to use like a credit card or something like that, which I wouldn't recommend accepting credit card as a method of payment either. But there's no fees for the tenant for paying the rent. We just have one method of payment where we debit directly from their bank account. If they want it to be automatically debited every month on the 1st, there's no charge. But if they want to choose the day, like say they're not going to get paid until the 5th or 6th, and they want to schedule it, there is a $15 fee associated with that. But if they used Chase QuickPay or something like that, there's no fee. So we typically just tell them what to do so that they don't have to be charged a fee.
This is Joe. Sorry, I joined a little late. You covered it, but if you said 65 a door is what you charge, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. It's 75 per door, but we work with Hugo, so we'll give you guys 65 per door for anyone from this group. Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay, thank you. And if something goes wrong in the house, like something, sink, kitchen sink, plumbing goes wrong, how does that work? Then does the landlord just get charged back then, whatever expense it was?
So we don't actually pay the bills for our client. So as Hugo was saying, he gives us a list of contractors. If you don't have a list of contractors, we can definitely refer somebody in the Chicagoland area. And as he mentioned, he keeps a credit card on file. So if you're comfortable with that, we can keep your credit card on file. We can pay the bill anything up to $300, or you set the limit. If it's over $300, then we would get approval from you first. What we do that's different than full service is we communicate a lot with our clients before we kind of give approval. So if it's a big job, or even if it's not that big of a job, we still contact the client to say, this is the issue, this is the contractor that looked at it, this is how much it's going to cost, is that okay? Before we go ahead and give them the go ahead. If it can be however you prefer. If you want to give the credit card and say just do anything that's $300 or less, we can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Does that apply to single family the same as multifamily?
Yes. So I have a lot of single family, and we've been working on those leases and getting some clauses in their lease that kind of gives some responsibility to the tenant. Since it is a single family home, it's some things the tenant should be doing, like changing the filter and things like that. So of course, like pest control, if you have a pest control issue at a single family home, it's something you're doing, it's not coming from another unit. So we try to get those clauses into the single family home lease that says, any repair $300 or less is the tenant's responsibility. Of course, that's up to you, but any repair, it would be the same thing as the multifamily.
And is there any minimum number of single families you need to have to represent?
No.
All right, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Sorry, I keep asking so many questions. Do you get a dedicated property manager, or does the property manager change as the requests come in, or how does that work?
So we have a team. The way we like to do it is I don't want to assign any specific landlord to any one person, because once that person's on vacation, you know, you're not going to get an answer until next week. So we kind of handle it as the requests come in. First person up takes that request and handles it. So we have one general email that my whole team has the ability to see and respond to and take in the requests. So it's not one person dealing with one client or one tenant. It's everyone has the ability to help all of our clients and all of our tenants.
Okay, I have another question.
Sure.
So what methods do you use to market the property? So if I had a tenant in one unit that stayed for 3 months and then they all of a sudden decided to move out, how do you market those?
Yeah, so we don't handle that part. We take over once the tenant is placed. However, we're happy to help with if you're already our client, if you need to market one of your units, you can give out our phone number, we can take the calls for you, the inquiries for you. We're happy to help. We don't handle that aspect of it.
Okay. And then my last question for you would be, do you require the renters in the unit to have rental insurance?
It is always to the landlord's discretion. So if the landlord wants it, if it's in their lease, we enforce it, we ask for it, we ask the tenants to provide proof of it, and we keep it on file. But if our specific client doesn't have that in their lease, then we don't enforce it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, hey, I have a question.
Sure.
Hey, so I am actually a 22-year-old senior in college right now, and this question isn't necessarily super related to the topic of property management, but I guess as people who are more who are more experienced in real estate, what would your advice be to someone in my position who's interested in getting started?
I'll let Hugo take that one.
Okay,
Perfect, Alex.
Yeah.
So I love your timing. 22 years old. Oh my goodness, you have so much ahead of you to let real estate pretty much take care of you for the rest of your life. So the key is to get started as soon as possible. Okay, and that's going to be driven by your time frame. I mean, are you, since you're in a school, do you have time available during the week to put into real estate?
Yeah, other than like classes right now, because I'm doing my last semester in college right now, but I definitely do have
Okay.
some time.
Okay, perfect. So, are you in the Chicagoland area?
No, I'm actually from Indianapolis.
Okay. Okay. I mean, the first thing that you need to do is we're in the people's business. Okay, it's all about uh, who you know. So what I recommend is to right now join meetups like these. And the minute things reopen, and if there are any live events, you've got to go to live events. You always have to have mentors, somebody who knows more than you do, and then work with peers. Okay, it's very critical. And then number two is get as much knowledge as possible within real estate without getting hung up on the knowledge, because I see that a lot of people they have these analysis paralysis because they're learning, taking too much courses, and they do or take very little action. So the key to success is execution trumps knowledge all day long. Okay, so it's good to have knowledge, but most importantly relationships in real estate. So working with the top key players in the industry is going to get you very far away. So you have to work closely with people who always know more than you do. And to accomplish these in this, I guess, post-pandemic or this pandemic is via joining meetups and most importantly, networking events, okay, especially if they're face-to-face. And then you want to mimic somebody who has done a lot more that you want to accomplish. So I said a lot, But just to sum up, 3 things that I would focus on if I were you: attend meetups, number 1. Number 2, find a mentor, somebody that knows more than you, somebody who's accomplished a lot that you admire. Get to know them at a personal level. Learn as much as possible of their habits, okay? Because it's all about creating and building habits, okay? Of communicating with people, working with peers, and then finally, be consistent, okay? Consistency is critical because I see a lot of people in the last 3 years. I've seen people very enthusiastic and they jump on real estate, but very early on they get disappointed, and I don't blame them because it's not easy, and then they quit. Okay, the key is consistency, consistency, consistency. People who are very successful have to fail, have to make mistakes. For that to happen, you need to execute, you need to take action. Okay, so execution is critical.
Yeah, that's. I think one of the things that you kind of mentioned was the whole taking action thing. I think that that's been kind of my hang up recently, is not getting super, as you put it, involved in the analysis paralysis and
Right.
starting to execute. And so obviously as a 22-year-old college student, I'm not someone who has a lot of capital to just be investing in real estate and all that, but I'm just looking for like little ways to actually dabble into it and get started.
Right. So let me tell you something. I've met so many people like you who really, they call them the wannabes, right? And they said, Hugo, I'm willing to shadow you. I'm willing to, or they want to shadow somebody else, but guess what? They quit. They stop doing it. The key is consistency, okay? You know who I really admired was Andrew Holmes, right? And I built an incredible relationship with him and his partners, but I stuck to that relationship for a long time. Even he told me, Hugo, I don't even know how to get rid of you. I mean, I see you everywhere. I met the habit of going to his events every single week. He could see, because remember, out of sight, out of mind. He saw me even in his soup. Okay, I just told him, I want to learn from you. And even one time he told me, Hugo, you're not the type of monkey who can put up these shows. Despite of all his comments, I stuck to it. Okay, that was so critical. Okay, and execution. We've made so many mistakes, left and right, but at the end of the day, you're a step closer to where you want to be. Success to me is going down, up and down, go up and down. You're going to be falling so many times, but guess what? You never know how far you are from it. So you have to stick to it. And especially you want to learn from people who've been there. That's critical because you don't want to reinvent the wheel. You want to learn from people who've been there. That's going to be critical. Okay. But stick to them and build relationships. That's so critical. We've grown so much because of our relationships. It's not because I'm super smart. No, not at all. It's not because I have more time than you and I, or you are. I don't have more time than you do. I don't have twice the IQ than you guys do. By no means. In fact, my wife and I were recounting. We took 4.5 to close to 5 months off last year. But guess what? That didn't stop us from growing. So it's all about relationships. That's what it boils down to. Okay? Working with the right people. That is why our objective is to bring the best to you guys. Like in this case, Secure Pay One, Giovanni and her team. I mean, they're amazing. They're amazing. I cannot speak or be so thankful to them for everything they've done for us. Okay, so yeah, execute. That's critical, and to build relationships.
Yeah.
Start early. Think about buying a property, and at the beginning, you may not have the resources. Partner up with somebody else to do it. A flip. Start with a flip. Start with something simple.
I have a question. How do you create the fleets? Because so I'm kind of in his situation, but I'm a little older. And I've actually like semi got into the flip by default.
Yeah.
I own a property and then I bought another property. I fixed it up. I wanted to keep it, but I couldn't, and I ended up flipping it. So now I have a second property that I'm working on, but it's hard for me to find the investors where I don't have to do it with out of pocket. So I've been doing it out of pocket now.
Okay, so you're missing relationships, you're missing connections.
Yeah.
That's what you're missing. So you've got to join. So we're gonna do something really cool, okay? Since I hear you guys talk about this, we have something really amazing going on with we call them the deal makers. We're gonna go see a bunch of properties this Sunday, and then we're gonna come back to the Hotel DoubleTree in Oakbrook at 5 p.m. So why don't you guys come to see what it's like to meet some really key players, okay? Some really powerful investors, brain power. So come DoubleTree Oakbrook this Sunday at 5 p.m. so that you have the opportunity to meet some great people, perhaps find your mentor that you're missing, those missing connections, okay? Because again, it's all about relationships. So we're gonna do face-to-face. There'll be a lot of people on Sunday. So Phil, can you please post it via the chat? DoubleTree Oakbrook, 5 p.m. It's the ballroom conference room.
Is there a way that I can get invited to another one that you have? Because my daughter has a cheer competition in Milwaukee on Sunday.
Don't worry, we're going to have another live event on Sunday 13th at 1 p.m. So Phil, can you please post via the chat the invite to the next live event on February Sunday 13th? I believe it's at 1 p.m. It's going to be a really awesome event. So that,
Super Bowl party.
Exactly, right? Oh, it's a Super Bowl, February 13th?
Yes, it is.
Perfect. It is? Perfect. We won't have that great of attendance, but sugar, that's a good point. So Phil, can you please make a note? We might need to switch that around because I know Super Bowl is pretty important. But anyway, so send us your email.
I'll be traveling that day too, and I don't want to sound like I'm the problem.
No, that's okay. That's okay. We're gonna work around your, let you know, and then when our next event is for sure, whether it's live or virtual. So if you can send us your email, Phil, can you post our email so that we can get their contact information and then notify them for the next upcoming event?
I'm good with the Hugo Super Bowl.
Super Bowl? Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Hugo Super Bowl.
Right, we're gonna make a Super Bowl. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah. So, with the management company, do they call you? Do you guys call us like for everything that happens, or do you handle a lot of things if it's really simple, and then call us on the most important things?
So I would say it's our process to just send an email when something happens, letting you know, just because we keep that in our notes that you were made aware of it. And you don't have to answer, or, if it's not something you want to hear about, we can work that out too. But we typically do keep open communication and just send our clients an email letting them know what the communication is with the tenant. That's because they want it, but if you don't, we can only contact you for emergencies if that's what you prefer.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then also I like the protocol that you guys have, Shivani, that sometimes, I was not responsive to emails and then you send text messages.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
When something is critical, they reach out to you. So it's just awesome, guys. Working with them.
Yeah, it's very different than full service. A lot of people who want a full service property management, they just want to go to Florida and leave their properties, and they don't care really how much money is being spent on maintenance and things like that. But for people that are trying to grow and they want to be more involved in the expenses and what's happening with their properties, it's more of a solution for that type of investor. And we
Super
can
Bowl
recommend
starts
a
at
full
6:30
service if that's what
p.m.
someone's interested in.
Eastern time. Hey, Ron.
Hey, Hugo.
Are there any other questions for Siobhan?
How you doing, Nico?
Go for it, Sam.
Are you back?
Yes,
You,
yes, I'm back.
you feel? I mean, you look like you just woke up. Very
Yeah, I'm
tired.
back. I'm been
Where
hanging
is
out with the little ones.
the warm weather you promised to bring?
I know, right?
You missed some minus 20 degree. We enjoyed. You
I
missed it.
know, I know. But I'm so
But
happy that I'm gonna see most of you guys Sunday.
yeah, the Sunday without you, it doesn't worth it.
Yeah. Thank you, Sam.
See you there.
So are there any other questions regarding, anything?
I put my email in the chat if anyone has any questions that you don't want to ask on here. You can shoot me an email if I have anything I can help you with, or if there's any referrals you need, I can help you with that too.
Perfect. Awesome.
Hi,
Hugo,
hi, Siobhan, this is Christine.
Hi, Christine.
Hi. Hey, I
Hi.
just want to say something that I've been with Secure Pay One for many years, and I really strongly recommend Secure Pay One. They've been very helpful. Yes, Hugo knows that. So
Thank you.
before Secure Pay One, I actually went through a couple full-blown property management company, and I found out is that not only the maintenance charge, cost me arm and leg, and also one of the benefit with the Secure Pay One is the time frame, the cash flow. So before, when I was with the other companies, you don't get your rent until the next month. For instance, you don't get your January rent until maybe 10th of February. But with Secure Pay One, as soon as they receive the rent, the money, the rent goes to your bank. So that's one of the big benefits in terms of the cash flow. And also, they are the only company that they send out every month. They send out postage stamp envelope to remind the green envelope to remind tenant, hey, it's time for you to pay, even though you don't have stamp. I have the stamp here. You just have to put your check into the stamp, to the envelope and send out. And the other thing is that communication-wise, they are very efficient. So every time when the tenant has an issue, I get the email. So what they put the tenant's they put the address, tenant's name, and tenant's phone number in the email subject line. So I know which property has an issue, which tenant has an issue. And so all I need to do is just reply the email and tell them, okay, call this plumber. And then they will just call the plumber for me. And then from there, they just handle all the communication. And once the work's done, the plumber send them the invoice, that they email me the invoice, and I just paid it from there. So it is super efficient. So I really highly recommend Secure Pay One.
Thank you, Christine.
Yeah, totally agree with you.
Appreciate it.
Also have another question. Sorry, I keep asking. So as far as like the software system you use in the back, and I know the property management that it's cost me an arm and leg, but they use like a folio, and I'm able to sync that with like Stessa to be able to like manage my payments and everything else. How do you guys do reporting? Do you send like an Excel spreadsheet, or how does that work?
Yeah, so for my bigger clients, some of my bigger clients like Christine, they choose, who was just speaking, they like to choose the software that they like to use. So there's a lot of different ones. I have a couple clients in Rent Manager, one in AppFolio, a couple in Buildium, and they chose that software because they like it and they like the reporting. But we also have our own, so it's not required that you have your own software. Whichever software you choose to use, we would run it for you. But we do have different reports, and the ones that come out of our Secure Pay One software do get converted to Excel spreadsheets. You also would get your own login, so you could log into our software and see all the reports and run whatever you would want and look at whatever you'd want. But if you asked me for a specific report, I would probably, download it and convert it to Excel and then send it to you. But Christine uses Rent Manager and those couple other softwares. They have a lot more robust reporting once you have a bigger portfolio. We recommend using one of those softwares, but ours has good reports as well.
Perfect. I know like Appfolio, the minimum is like 50 doors, which I'm not anywhere close to that.
Appfolio is one of the biggest and most, it has a lot in there. So it's not necessary if you don't have a lot of properties, but it's a good one.
And then another question that nobody has asked, but that I've been asked that I think is very critical. People ask, how many properties should I own before I start using a property management company? One. If you own one rental, that's it. That's good enough. Have it professionally managed. That's it. You don't need to have 4 or 5. No. By then, you've wasted so much time and gone through so much headache that is unnecessarily. So once you get your first rental, boom, calls your bank.
I would agree. It's best to start off with your tenants not knowing you or having your contact information, because it's really hard once the property management takes over for them to leave you alone. But once you have the tenant facing who they're supposed to call, then they won't bother you.
Right.
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. I think anybody who owns a rental property, and once I get one, I will absolutely want a management company, because nobody really wants to deal with tenants and toilets.
No, that's my job.
Absolutely, Steve.
Rico, I have a question. When you buy a property from auction.com or Hubzu, normally they give you a clean title with no lien on it and no taxes are paid. So nothing to be worried about it, right?
Correct.
And normally they give it to you vacant or sometimes with the tenant or with the owner?
It could be both. Yep.
Okay, so if their owner is still living in the house, what is the best way to get rid of it?
Cash for keys, but sometimes that does not even work. Yeah, it could be a big problem.
Yeah, and then we have to go to eviction process, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Little by little.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Yeah.
Great. So I want to thank, if there are no further questions, I want to thank Siobhan for her time. And thank you and your group, your team, your company for the amazing work you've done for us.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Siobhan.
Thank you.
And guys, under Chicago DealVault, we have the property management category, and then we have Secure Pay One as the preferred partner. Okay, so you can reach out to them, mention Chicago DealVault, and then you're gonna get the special rate. So thank you everyone for joining, and then I look forward to seeing you all on Sunday, 8 a.m. at DoubleTree Oakbrook. Okay, for those of you who are coming to the bus tour. Perfect. So thank you, everyone.
What was the place called?
Oh, it's DoubleTree Oakbrook.
Okay.
Hey, Hugo?
Yes, Ron?
Do you have all your properties that you rent in a trust?
No, not all of them. In fact, 0.
Reason why I asked that question, because Van Merrill, when I was prior to meeting you and we were told that put your properties into a trust. That way they don't have your name. So if a renter wanted to sue you because they fell, their lawyer goes after you and try to get as much money as they can. That's why they said put it in a trust, because that trust is a different name.
Absolutely. That's a hiding mechanism, but nowadays they'll find you. Even if your property's in a trust, they'll find you. For sure. They'll track you down. No way to escape, especially nowadays that everything is public. Yeah. Thank you for the comment, Ron.
Okay.
So, guys, I hope to see you, most of you, on Sunday, 8 o'clock. I look forward to seeing you in person. So thank
I
you,
can't make it to
Saban.
the bus tour,
Thank
but I
you.
hope to see you at DoubleTree at 5.
Perfect. Awesome. That sounds like a plan, guys. So have a wonderful evening, and see you in a couple of days. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Phil.
Bye.